I have 7 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Will clerk please call the roll?
Dr. Ramona Becker.
Present.
Guy McDonald.
Here.
Betty Martine.
Here.
Peggy O'Donnell.
Here.
Diane Wynn.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. With all of our meetings, we will start with a moment of silent prayer. Amen. Now please rise and join in saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We want to welcome everybody to our regularly scheduled meeting of your Bel Aire City Council. We do actually have a couple of additions that went to our agenda after the packets were completed, items F and G. These are relating directly to the Wickham Glass, the IRB, and that is before council tonight. If I would entertain a motion to accept and approve these agenda additions.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So we'll add those agenda items officially. Before we get into our consent agenda, just want to make a couple of quick announcements. Would like to just ask that anyone in the audience and even up here at the bench that we make sure our cell phones are turned to silent or to off. For that's one thing we discussed in passing at a recent meeting. Just a quick reminder on that. Also, I'd like to let the public know that we will be holding a land bank meeting immediately following the council meeting tonight. Required notice has been given, so anyone watching at home has time to come if you so desire. These meetings are not taped, but they are open to the public. So just wanted to get that out of the way before we get into our consent agenda, which in our consent agenda consists of 2 items. One is the minutes of the February 2nd council meeting, and B is the, I cannot believe we're discussing these already, fireworks applications for wholesale fireworks.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
I have a first and second. Other questions or comments? The consent agenda? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yes, okay. And next is appropriations ordinance 16-04. This is in the amount of $262,383.90.
Mr. Mayor,
Mrs. O'Donnell?
I would like to make a motion to approve appropriation ordinance 16-04.
Second.
We have a first and a second. Questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, next, our city requested appearances. I don't have any in front of me, but we will move into a proclamation, which I've said it before. This is one of the fun things the mayor gets to do. Beg your pardon, but I would like to read a proclamation on successful aging community. To the citizens of Bel Aire, Kansas, greetings. Whereas Bel Aire is a community that values the lives of all citizens of any age, and whereas the population of Americans over the age of 65 will increase to 72.1 million by the year 2030. And whereas the City of Bel Aire, in collaboration with the Catholic Care Center, pledges to create a culture of successful aging for all citizens of this community. And whereas successful aging through the enrichment of social intellectual, physical, and spiritual wellness benefits people of all ages. And whereas Bel Aire wishes to positively impact the lives of citizens by creating greater opportunities for wellness in the 4 lifestyle components: combating ageism and discrimination of all kinds, nurturing a culture of success aging, enacting policies that champion a culture of wellness and successful aging. Therefore, I, David Austin, Mayor, do hereby proclaim Bel Aire to be a successful aging community. I urge every citizen to look at the ways they can affect their own aging journey and the lives of those around them, so that we can enjoy a long and healthy existence. And so it's my honor to sign this. And I know we have a representative from the Catholic Care Center. Jennifer is here today. I didn't know if you wanted to make any comments. We'd welcome you to come to the podium if you'd like, over there, and I'll bring this down to meet you.
All right.
I did go ahead and sign that, so we'll
Perfect.
present that to you, and look forward to coming to your event at the end of this month, and we'll read it there again. But if you wanted to make any comments, this would be an opportunity to share with those at home and as well with the council. But I wanted to thank you for everything that you've done. Catholic Care Center, we've been real excited to watch all the growth, and congratulations on everything, and thank you so much. So,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate your attention to this really important topic. As many of you know, the Catholic Care Center has been a part of Bel Aire for now 25 years. And over the almost 8 years that I've had the pleasure of being at the Catholic Care Center, I've really enjoyed the relationship that we've had here with the city of Bel Aire. I didn't even doubt for a moment that Mayor Austin would support us in our idea to create a culture of successful aging, because I know how important that is to the city as well as it is to Catholic Care. One thing that I think many of us don't know is that 70% of how we age is determined by how we live every day. And the 4 lifestyle components that Mayor Austin read in his proclamation are the 4 pillars around which we can shape these lifestyle decisions and choices so that we can all live our best every day. Catholic Care Center is committed to this as our ministry, and we look forward to our partnership with the City of Bel Aire as we continue to look to ways for all of us to be enriched as we age.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we'll open it up to citizens' concerns. If there's anyone who wishes to address the council, they may do so at this time. Seeing none, we'll move into the public hearing portion of our meeting. Purpose of the public hearing is to give property owners and other interested parties the opportunity to speak on the issuances of industrial revenue bonds, otherwise known as IRBs, for the Mind Cure Behavior and Wellness Center in the amount of $3 million for a medical facility that's located in the Sunflower Commerce Park, specifically lots 1 and 2 of Block A. Is there anyone here wishing to speak? If you wish to speak, I invite you to come to the podium and state your name. And,
Good evening, Mayor Austin, honorable council members. My name is Sarah Steele with Gilmore and Bell. We're bond counsel to the city and working on this particular project. You may recall that at a meeting a month ago, you held a public hearing regarding this project. The notice had been published already in an amount not to exceed $2 million. After subsequent discussion with the developer, he wanted to increase the approximate amount of the bonds to be issued to $3 million. So this public hearing is only a necessity to cover the increased principal amount. You'll also be asked later to consider a resolution. Again, the resolution only increases the principal amount from $2 million to $3 million. Thank you.
there's no one else here wishing to address the public hearing, I would entertain a motion to close.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
First and second, are there any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So next we'll move into reports. First, I have to say hi because I get to do this. My granddaughter is watching at home right now, so Papa says hi. She's 2 almost and not feeling well, so I'm sure this may help my wife get her to sleep watching our meeting up here. But how to do that. I do want to move on with reports. Council members did receive a list of individuals I'd like for you to consider my recommendations for a community development advisory committee that hopefully we can talk about at our next meeting. There was one individual on there, Benjamin, who in my report at that time we were playing phone tag via phone messages, and we have confirmed that he would like to serve, and I think he was one that Councilmember Martine actually met and recommended for this. We had a home show this past week, have had lots of great comments about the size of our booth, the interactions that took place. I want to thank all of the volunteers that were there that worked the show. Specifically would like to just recognize that we had 3 Bel Aire businesses at the home show. So anytime anybody can do business with the Bel Aire business, please do so. And we had a Kitchen Tune-Ups, Highland Roofing, and Granite Transformation were all there. So we're excited to see that, and excited to see us promoting our city as well. Speaking of promoting our city, spent this weekend, my wife and I did, and some neighbors, driving around and going to, it had been a while since we've done this, just spending a couple of days driving around looking at all of the new developments and talking with the realtors inside those homes, and just the excitement and the growth that is taking place in the city with new homes is just, it's infectious. I'm excited to see some of the new stuff that's happened with some of our Central Park marketing. I know we're a couple weeks or 2-3 weeks behind kind of where we thought we'd be with that, and was able to talk with the realtor at the home show who came, so looking for that to continue. Another reason to be excited is all of our social media reaches. In talking with Tristan and learning, or just watching, if you watch our YouTube channel and our Twitter feed and our Facebook page, every day there's new followers or new people are forwarding and sharing, and all of this is nothing but positive. So excited to be here with that, and I think I'm excited about this weather, I'll just say it. So with that, we will I'll move to council member reports, and we'll start with Council Member Becker.
Well, I don't have much to report this week, but I'll just follow up on what you said. I love the weather, and I also enjoyed working the home show. That's always a real good thing to do. Get to meet a lot of new people and see some old friends, and it was great that we had so many Bel Aire businesses there this year. It's always a good show, and I enjoyed being there with Councilmember Martine. She was also there at the same time, and I think most of us probably took a turn there. But, so that's all I have tonight, Mayor.
And I will have to confess my sin, Councilmember McDonald actually had to do a few extra minutes because I was running late. So thank you for that. I will
No problem, Mr. Mayor. No problem. I can't say anything more than that our Councilwoman Becker has said about the home show. But Mr. Mayor, I'm going to move that we go into executive session for 10 minutes.
At this moment?
At this moment.
And for what purpose?
Oh, for the purpose of non-elected personnel. Discussion of non-elected personnel.
So we can do that. Are we inviting in anybody?
We'll invite in the city attorney and the city manager.
Second?
First and second, to take a 10-minute executive session for non-elected personnel. Are there any other questions?
To discuss.
Yeah, to discuss non-elected personnel, inviting the city attorney and the city manager, again, for the term of 10 minutes.
Before our reports?
Yeah, do you want to do that right at this moment, or can we get through the reports?
We can go through the reports.
after-
I have no difficulty with that.
Okay, let me ask our attorney, since we've had a first and second made, though, do we need to go ahead and do that right now, or hang tight?
Actually, the motion was to go in immediately.
So, let's do it right
Let's-
now then.
let's
All
do
in
it.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are in executive session and All right. Council just had an executive session, no binding action was taken. Go ahead and call the meeting back to order, and we'll continue with reports. Councilmember O'Donnell.
Thank you, Mayor. I just also wanted to say thank you to Mr. Lasher and whoever, Tristan, whoever was did our booth. It was perfect location. It was wonderful. Had so many comments about how wonderful it was done. So I want to thank whoever set that up. It was great. And the bags. Everybody can always use those recycle bags. I did miss the workshop. I had to go to Springfield Tuesday night. But I will, I had a question that I'll address when we get to the governing body vacancy. I have a comment on that document, and I apologize that I have not been able to see the workshop. So I don't know if there's anything else I need to know. And I just wondered, I had a forensics Saturday. Did anybody go to the SCAC meeting? Did anybody get to attend? Okay. Because I heard there were some handouts there, and I just wondered, okay, I'll email and find out.
There is an email we've gotten about it, and it sounds like some wonderful stuff that
I
we need to
know.
follow up on.
I agree. I think that we need to follow and get that. Okay, and that's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Councilmember Wynn.
I also worked at the home show. I have a blast at the home show, always, because years ago I worked in construction, so I always know a lot of people there, and so it's a little home week. While I was there, I invited 3 businesses to come to our chamber. I am being the chamber cheerleader, I guess, for a while. But I really would like to see our chamber grow. One is a business that is out here, like technically just over the border of Bel Aire land, but you know, he does a lot of business here. And then the other one is a young man who actually lives in Hutchinson, and I informed him that doesn't matter, but he likes the community and has been doing some business out here with our residents, and so he was pretty interested, and they are thinking that this might be a nice place to live, because driving to Wichita, where most of his business is, can get old pretty fast. So that's all I have.
Councilmember Martine.
Well, I also worked the home show on Thursday, and I had more fun with the map of putting the little stick pins on there for people that lived in Bel Aire that came by, and I'll be anxious to see that map from whatever her name is. Tristan. I thought it was a very good idea.
I did too.
There were several people from Derby, and the first question they said, "Where's Bel Aire?" And so I explained that to them and gave them bags, and I saw a lot of old friends that I met there before, and a lot of builders that walked through early so that they could see what was going on, and bought a loaf of that wonderful bread from Colorado, and sorry, it's all gone.
That's all. What was in that bread then?
Walnut and cranberry and wheat. Oh, it's if you ever run into that bread store, buy that. It is
That went right
makes
over
the
her head.
Yeah, let's just,
no wine or anything.
let's go to city manager report.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to thank all the volunteers that worked. It was really appreciated. And if anybody's got suggestions, we're always looking for new ideas and stuff. So if anybody's got suggestions of what they'd maybe like to see next year or what we could do differently, let us know, because we always like to change it up a little bit. And then just a reminder to everybody to put on their calendar, the Spring Festival's coming up in a month, March 19th, so a month away. Be at the Rec Center. I know the Community Development Committee's been working a lot on that, and it looks like it's going to be another fun event like we had last year. So that's all I had, Mayor.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Are there any committees or commission reports tonight?
Mr. Mayor, I had one more thing. I don't know if Mr. Lasher or Tristan put the housing development from the builders inside that bag, but that was very helpful because I pulled those out and showed them to about 2 couples from Derby, and they did not realize that we have those type of houses. And they took 2 of the packets for this one house that the wife really, really liked. So that was helpful to put those houses in there that was for sale.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I have a comment. I'd like to, I'd like to say that I think I spoke with the same young man that Councilwoman Wynn spoke with from Hutchinson, because he does business in Wichita and Derby and so on. And I was happy to hear that remark. I was also very pleased to see a photograph, not a big one, on the map of Bel Aire that showed buildings, houses underwater. And we were able to say, this is what happens in the springtime in Bel Aire. We get flooded out. And then we smile and laugh and say, no, Bel Aire is at the highest point in Sedgwick County, and this will never happen. And the mayor's associate said, if that ever happens in Bel Aire, Wichita will be completely underwater. So I would suggest that we improve. I don't know whose idea that was, but it's a beautiful idea. Get a larger photograph, do that, and make that part of the booth next year.
That was yeah, I forgot that when we first got there, that's right, yeah. That happened in Bel Aire, which, that was, I remember we both, yeah. Okay. Let's move into ordinances, resolutions, and final actions. Resolution of intent to issue the IRB. We had the public hearing a few moments ago, and a resolution of intent stating the city will issue an IRB once certain documents are completed. I want to just again stress the city is not going to have any financial responsibility for this IRB. I think that's a real important to point out. As you know, the company has to secure their own financing to purchase these. This resolution deletes that $2 million amount that Sarah spoke about earlier from the resolution, and we approved that at the January 19th meeting, just for reference, and just replaces it with the $3 million again requested by the developer. I think it's a pretty positive when the value goes up. I regard that as a positive. The new cost-benefit analysis still produces that 2.0 benefit, which is also another thing I think is important for us as a body and citizens at home to know about, because that's for all the taxing entities. So would certainly entertain if there is a motion to approve this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And thank you for being here tonight working on that. Okay, moving right along is consideration of a third addendum to the real estate purchase agreement with, okay, Mr. McDonald, help me out again.
Where's the,
How do I say this?
show me the name.
Aye.
Just show me the name.
Yeah, right
Get
there.
over here. Okay, that's Srinivas.
That's right. I
Srinivas.
don't know why I
That's
cannot
one.
say. We both come from Pennsylvania, where we say words like Schwenksville and all that.
Yeah, but no, this is, I speak the language, so therefore I can.
Srinivas, yes. So thank you.
Srinivas.
Yeah, I think I had to rely on him at a previous meeting for that. But that purchase agreement ended February 10th. The closing has been set for February 19th. So again, this is another reason that we need a third addendum that's up for consideration. Would recommend that we approve this, and then we'll close on Friday, and there's no delays or anything that we know of, correct? Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the third addition to real estate purchase agreement with Srinivas Krishnamurthy and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second?
have a first and second. Are there any questions or comments on this? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have a closing on Friday. Item C is a disposition ordinance. The PBC holds the title to all the land in the Commerce Park. PBC leases that ground to the city. That's how that works. This ordinance exercises the purchase of lots 1 and 2 of Block A in the Commerce Park from the PBC, therefore then terminates the lease of those lots and sells the parcels to Srinivas. Again, all the legal mumble jumble we go through from the PBC to the city to the TILP and to transfer, basically, long story short, it comes off our books and goes on theirs.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'll move to approve an ordinance authorizing the sale and disposition of certain property under a lease between the City of Bel Aire and the City of Bel Aire, Kansas Public Building Commission, and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second?
I have a first and second. Are there questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
is this the company that came back and gave us a lot and made a lot of addendums and a request in their contract? Is this the same company, or are we talking about someone else?
This is totally different. This is
Totally different. Thank you
yeah,
very much.
you bet.
That's enough.
Okay. Any other questions? Excellent question, though. Being an ordinance, it does require a roll call. Councilmember Becker?
Aye.
Councilmember McDonald?
Aye.
Councilmember Martine?
Aye.
Councilmember O'Donnell?
Aye.
Councilmember Wynn?
Aye.
Okay. Passes. Okay, next is consideration of approving the revised governing body vacancy policy. As you know, after the resignation of Councilmember Ken Lee a few months ago, and then going through the replacement process and with all the changes from the state level, council wanted to update this vacancy policy. I know we've discussed it a number of times, most recently at our February 9th workshop, and I believe it's now ready for final approval. Just wanted to see, make sure that council was ready to proceed.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I'm not yet until I have a couple questions. First of all, and I apologize that I didn't see the workshop. I just want to make sure that, because it was taken out in here, the ordinance that says that they will just serve until the next election, or is that Charter Ordinance 17? That's not that one, is it? Isn't it a different charter ordinance?
The charter would trump it.
Remember?
But-
That was
yeah.
in the first writing, and it's not in this one now.
You don't have to rewrite every word that's in the
Right,
charter.
I just wanna make
And
sure.
the charter has not been changed.
That, okay, and then, thank you, sorry.
No.
Okay, and then under the selection process, under 3 policy, confirmation of replacement, under C and D, it says, the last line of C says, the confirmation process will continue until a replacement is confirmed by the majority of the city council. D, the mayor shall not vote upon the nomination, and for majority vote is needed to confirm an appointment. That's not common. I mean, if it's, you've only got 4 council members now, because one's gone. And so you should vote if there is a tie. It should say the mayor shall not vote unless it's a tie. You could be deadlocked for a long time if you're not going to let the mayor vote in place of a tie. I looked up some other ones. It's not uncommon that you would let that be. Do you see what I'm saying? And I don't know, I wasn't here to hear the thoughts on that, but he is an active member. We are all a council, so I don't understand why we would be deadlocked. I agree you should not vote unless it's a tie, because you don't ever. But always, if it's a tie, you get that vote. Does that make sense?
Well,
That's set by charter ordinance. Again, policies don't trump charters. By charter ordinance, if there is ever a tie in any situation, the mayor shall vote.
Right, so why does this one say not, it's got to change because it doesn't say what our charter says. That's my problem.
But But once again, policies don't trump charters, so regardless what the language is here, you have to go back to the charter language, which does require mayor to vote to break ties.
And I knew that, and that's why I'm saying it seems to me like we would want this to match our charter ordinance, because what's going to happen then in 5 years or whatever, some other council's going to come in and they're going to say, why did that council not go by what your charter ordinance says? I think that needs to be changed, not because I care about who's mayor and who votes, but it doesn't go in conformity with our charter. And anybody could argue up here, and then the attorney would have to say, no, the mayor does get a vote, so this is not going to work. Does that make sense?
Well, the reason I think that we left it in there, because we did talk about it at the
Did you?
workshop.
Okay, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Because that's the way it was in the original
I knew
policy.
that, but I thought we were going to conform to, I knew it was in the original, but I thought now that we're redoing it, we should make it correct. That's my suggestion.
The reason that, and we spoke about this at the workshop, the reason that I do not think the mayor should have a vote in a tie situation is because the mayor is the one who nominates people for the vacancy. And so what mayor is not going to vote for the person that he nominates? Whereas, as it's written now, the council will simply have to go back and look at the nominees and then have the mayor propose another person. You know, say there are only 3 people who apply for the vacancy. We'll just keep repeating until the council decides, okay, we are going to decide on this particular person and we'll vote him or her in. And I don't think it's appropriate for the mayor to be able to vote for his nominee in the case of a tie.
Mr. Mayor, and I understand that, council member, but what I'm saying is, I understand what you're saying, but it's not going to work, because here's what could happen, a scenario. Mayor Austin sits up here, and it's 2-2, and then you guys pull this out, and you say you don't get a vote, and he pulls out the charter ordinance, and he says, yes, I do, and the attorney is going to say, yes, he does, and this is null and void. That's my point. Why would we leave it in here when this does not trump your charter ordinance, and any mayor that pulls it out is going to say, I do vote, and I now vote.
Mr. Mayor?
That's my point. I think we should change it to do our charter. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think the reason that we changed this D was because the line item said that the mayor did vote regardless of on anything. If you read the other the stuff that staff gave us, this probably should read, if we want to go along with the charter, and I have no problem with it, that the mayor should not vote except in a tie.
Right.
But I also agree with Mr. McDonald. I don't think the mayor, whoever it is, man or woman, makes the nomination and then turns around and votes on them.
Only if there's a tie. So most times
Yeah,
I
but-
wouldn't. Like if it was 4-0 or 3-1.
Yeah.
But if it's 2-2, if I was the mayor, I would say I would get to vote. And I don't care. I'm just saying I don't know why we would have that in there when it goes against our charter. That's just my point.
Mr. Mayor, can we change our charter ordinance? I'm talking to the city attorney, asking the city attorney.
You can change, you can always change your charter. It's the same process as always. We bring it back. Keep in mind, the charter requires the votes. Changing the charter would require votes of the entire governing body. So, yeah, you can always bring a charter back and see if you can get those votes.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Mayor, I would just like to see this changed to say, like Councilmember Martine said, the mayor shall not vote unless there is a tie, and then they have the right to break the tie. I think that is in compliance. And that's my suggestion.
If we go back to that charter ordinance, do we have to republish all of that stuff, not just the charter?
Yep.
That's why I did not want 3 and 4 ordinances on one thing with the charter, because it's going to cost us a lot of money to do that. But I'd be willing to pull back the charter.
Well, the chances of it happening are pretty slim. I just thought the verbiage should fit our charter. That was just my point. The chances of it being 2-2 are pretty slim, probably. I've never seen it happen.
Oh,
But
I have.
with us up here, when
Not
I've done
with
3.
us 5,
Oh,
but
yeah,
it's
no, I was just saying,
happened.
I've done 3 or 4 replacements and it's not ever gone to that. But I just was reading over and thought it should match our charter. So, Mr. Mayor, I am going to make a motion to approve the policy with amended that D, the mayor shall not vote unless there is a tie to confirm the appointment and authorize the mayor to sign.
Is there a second? Not hearing one, that motion dies. What is the council's desire for this policy? Hearing none?
Well, after all the work we've put in on this, we've discussed it several times. I think we should just, I'll make a motion to approve the governing body vacancy policy as presented and authorize the mayor to sign.
Is there a second to that motion? Okay.
I make a motion to table this, this particular document and discuss it at the next workshop.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, next, consideration of approving the combined services agreement with Sunrise Christian Academy for use of certain facilities in 2016. As you know, the school uses a couple of ball fields at the rec center for their programs. Their games are scheduled when the fields are not being used by the rec programs. A couple of years ago, the city created an agreement to make sure it was all in writing, which I'm very grateful that we have. We heard at our last workshop, Brian Hayes was there and recommended maintaining that. It seems to be working. The school also would like to renew it, so that is before council this evening.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I still have some questions on this, just for the public to know, and probably it would be for the city attorney, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
All the other schools are going to be charged or not charged if they fill out a form to use the rec center facilities or ball fields or whatever they want to use.
At this time, the way I understand the agreements are set up is to treat everybody identically. However, I haven't been involved in this project for the last couple of months, so if there's been some policy changes, I wouldn't be the one who who would know about that.
And that's all I have for the present time.
Mr. Mayor, if there has been no policy changes relative to the agreement with Sunrise Christian Academy, I would move to approve the resolution.
There's a first and second, or there's
No.
a first, is there a second? I'm sorry. No second?
I will recuse myself since I am employed there. I will not vote on this since it could be considered a conflict of interest.
And again, this is, at the workshop, we had the rec director, Brian Hayes, was there, and he wants it to continue because it helps his facility out with the parking, kind of quid pro quo, and since it's not, And again, just for those listening at home, this is for 2 months when the fields are not being used, and then, and I don't have it in front of me, and then they allow the city free use of parking throughout the entire summer, which is about 50 cars sometimes per day. So that is what the kind of the agreement is, again, in writing, so that it's all in writing. Do you have a first? Any of the three of you want to second this?
I still have a question.
Okay.
Do we have to have a second before we?
Yeah.
There was no second.
No second. So
But she has the right to ask a question.
Oh, before there's a second?
Sure. I think she does. So
No.
the attorney can
Well,
overrule that, of course.
I
I
think
think so.
right now, so the motion dies. That doesn't mean another motion can be. That does not mean you cannot make another motion. So right now, there's nothing, no motion for all intents and purposes.
I made the motion, but there has not been a second.
Right. So okay, this is Martine.
Did it die?
It died.
I know several months ago, and I'm not picking on Sunrise, but there was a list that was given to from the Planning Commission in the codes to update within a certain length of time, and they were assigned by the Planning Commission. That was given to their, in their minutes several months ago, and I noticed that these items haven't been taken care of. One was the paving back there at that little parking lot that people are using for the ball games. The second one was they were supposed to do something with the shed out in the back that has all the tires laying around it and on top of it. And I don't know if they were students, teachers or what, but they were parking on the grass that was east of the driveway where you go into the school. And these things, there were several things on that list. I just can't remember them all. But they evidently have not been taken care of yet.
I know you brought some of those up at the workshop, and that was one of the things that was definitely going to be looked into, and with that.
I'll get with Keith on that.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I'll get with Keith on that and find
that
out
was the plan.
what the issue.
Work on that, kind of getting through this week.
Is there a deadline or a timeline that this needs to be done?
I wasn't at the planning commission meeting, so I don't know if they mentioned anything.
Well, they didn't
or-
have a meeting.
Oh, yeah.
this month.
Oh, that's right, they canceled.
Canceled
so,
'cause they didn't
yeah.
have-
I'll visit with him and just see
Yeah.
what was said. and
Well,
if he
you know,
notified.
we don't let residents or other businesses do things like that, and I just think it's something that really needs to be taken care of. Because I can't park on the grass at my house.
What grass are we talking about?
Okay, you know where
Can't
the...
get there with the blocks and the.
Oh, yes, you can. When you go into the entrance off of 45th Street, 45th Street, and you're going north, there's a hedgerow there, and then there's grass there, and the cars park diagonally on that grass. And your tag says for Grace?
No, it says Grace for you.
Well, Grace for you.
Where, are you talking about on the hedgerow that belongs to the school?
I don't know who it belongs to, but you're not supposed to park on grass.
I don't park on grass.
Your car was parked there one day, Peggy.
I never park on grass. That's gravel.
Well, I'm not going to argue the point with you
But
because
that's Sunrise
where I'm,
property. I can park on the hedgerow, but I don't. I've been parking in the parking lot. But Betty, I don't park on the city property.
Well, let's not get into.
Well, I think it's very insulting.
I
I'm
didn't
just gonna
say city
Okay,
property.
okay,
Whose
listen.
ever property that is.
I'm allowed to
If
park
it's-
anywhere on.
No, you're
streets.
not.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
I am.
Okay.
No, you're not, because that's private property.
Betty,
And
you
it's like
cannot-
in my house, I can't park my car on the grass.
I'm not on the grass, Betty.
You were that one day I went through.
Okay, I'm
there.
going to stop on it.
I'm not going
Beg
to
your pardon.
entertain this
I just-
ridiculous conversation.
Okay, basically, what is before council tonight is an agreement that this council has approved with no problems the last couple of years. We have our recreation director who said it's a good policy and he likes it and he wants it to continue. Mrs. Martinez brought up a couple of issues that have asked our city staff to look into, that have said they will look into it. But in the meantime, I don't know that that affects, the next 2 months right away here. So that is why it's before council tonight, why it was discussed at the last workshop. Because I would imagine they're going to start practicing here before, heck, spring season is right around, so.
And Mr. Mayor, the motion was made and it died. And I think that council members have a right to speak to each other and even argue with each other. And I think it's your duty to see that there is a even flow of conversation among and between individual members of this council. But to just stop discussion, I don't think you have that authority to do that.
Well, I do, because the question became about who parked. It was an individual accusation, someone parking and then saying that it wasn't parking. We're no longer talking about the policy. That's why I did it, because we need to discuss this policy. And
Mr. Mayor, I don't think you have the authority to
Well,
stop conversations among or between individuals of council. That's my opinion.
you're entitled to it.
Mr. Mayor, may I say something?
Please.
I probably should have seconded the motion just for the sake of conversation about it, because I was not going to vote in favor of this, and I'll tell you why, just like I said at the workshop. We saw this policy in February of last year, and there was a blank in this policy that was going to say how much they were going to pay for the use of the facilities, or this field, or whatever. We had a discussion about that at that time. I don't remember ever approving this, and I don't think we did at that time. But it was supposed to come back to us in June with that blank filled in for how much would be paid for the use of the facilities. And in my opinion, which I stated very clearly at the workshop, I feel like the city of Bel Aire is subsidizing a private school, private business, and even though they are just right next door, it's still taxpayer money. And these facilities, that rec center is the biggest liability as far as income that we have every year of all the things we do in Bel Aire. And it's a service to our citizens, yes. So we're paying for it gladly for the kids in this town. But we don't subsidize any of the other churches or any of the other schools in town. And I just don't think it's right that one private entity really is being subsidized by taxpayer assets. And that's why I was not in favor of this, because I was surprised to see this come back to us without a dollar amount attached to it. Because I think it's only right that, since this has been going on for many years, it's time that the rec center gets some income from this, because they need to increase their income so that there's not quite so much a loss every year that they suffer. This is one way they could do that. And there aren't very many ways that they can, really, because I know they're trying to do the best they can. And it's always going to lose money. As we discussed at the workshop, the rec center is never going to make money, but they can do things to make the profit-loss picture look a little bit better. And so I just wanted to share why I'm not in favor of this. I think it's good to have an agreement. I think we should have an agreement with them. I think they should continue to use the facilities if nobody else is using them at that time, but I do think that they should pay, because it is a great privilege, and I think any place else they go, they probably have to pay for using the facilities. So that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
on this, and that's how I
The
feel
discussion
about it.
last year with the blank was because, again, if memory serves, I'm going off here, so, again, Sunrise agrees to let all those cars park there at no fee, and we said that's worth it, as opposed to charging the school $200 or $500, but now we have 50 more cars on the street every time there's a game at the rec center. Okay, yeah, we've made $500, but now we've just ticked off a bunch of visitors and citizens that have to find parking on the streets and walk further and all that. Is it really worth it? That was the discussion last year, which is why we kind of went ahead and we put in writing, you will provide this service to the city, we will provide you this. And then again, open it up, that other schools and other groups are able to use that rec center at the time. That was, going off memory, what we decided last year.
Well, I did ask that other schools be given that option, and I think that that's good, but nobody else is going to use that like Sunrise does just because of the proximity of their business next to the city rec center, you know?
And no one else is going to offer all the parking spaces either, so.
Well, that's, in some people's opinion, that's a fair trade. For me, it's not necessarily, because that's still a very small number of our citizens that are paying taxes in this city that utilize that. And I think it's nice, but I don't think it's equitable. So that's just how I feel about it. And I think that everybody needs to look at it objectively and like a business plan.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I didn't have all the history. I learned a lot listening to that at workshop, but there was quite a bit of discussion in that we are allowing schools from quite a ways away from here to utilize that as well. And I had thought when he left the meeting that we had talked about him coming up with something regarding a price list, if you will, for the use of that for certain events and things like that. Now, that might be a separate document than this one, but it sort of has got lost in the conversation. I agree that we need to, just because of the amount of wear and tear on the facility, we need to have that making enough to keep it up to par, shall we say. So it's just a thought, and I could have mistaken some of what I heard.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I agree 100% with Dr. Ramona Becker's assessment, but I was ignorant of several things prior to the workshop, and Mr. Brian Hayes informed me that Sunrise was instrumental in reducing the cost of the property that the Recreation Center owns now, and because they were part of that group. And so that history, plus the fact that I didn't realize the parking was that big. I didn't realize there were 50 cars that could park there. So for that reason, I made the motion to consider this agreement with Sunrise Christian Academy. But again, I'm ambivalent. I'm not ambivalent. I made the motion. It failed. But I do agree with Dr. Becker's assessment as far as business is concerned, and I agree with Councilwoman Wynn's assessment that there should be some kind of compensation for use of the facilities, even though there's not a recreation center in the country that makes money. But however, there we are. I've finished my comment.
So is there any other, what would council like to do with this agreement?
I think the agreement died, Mr. Mayor.
A motion did, do we need to?
Question, you say they want to start this next month or the end of this month?
February 29th.
Would be what because they use it for their softball and baseball. I'm not privy to their schedule, but yeah, that would be when they would start and probably.
And I noticed when I read this agreement that we've taken the use of the brush and burn pile out as well.
I think that was one thing you had asked for, yeah.
They took that out. Being it's that close, and it's we've done this for quite some time, I'd like to make a motion that the service agreement with Sunrise Christian Academy that they need to get all the items, or they need to get with Mr. Lasher or whoever to get their stuff in compliance, and go ahead and let them use the fields this year, or this time that's stated in this agreement. I forgot when it went to. At this time, and that they need to get their stuff in compliance. I know it's a mixed up motion, but it's the best I could do.
So just before I ask for a second, just to clarify, basically to allow special use, given the time, they can use it right now, but that kind of put them on notice that these two things need to be looked at before they come back next year. Is that the way I read it? Or understood it? Compliance?
On this agreement only, because this doesn't include the football time, does it?
No, that's
Okay,
totally
just
separate.
for this, the dates that they gave us was February 29th to March 1st. Is what I have in here.
May 1st.
May 1st.
This says March. Oh, May 1st.
Yeah. And then with us to use it the summer, and then, okay.
And I don't think Bel Aire should be parking over there.
So we have a first to basically approve, but on notice kind of as a temporary solution so they can go ahead and get started.
I would second that.
We have a first and a second.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd just like to say this is exactly where we were last year. We were going to come back and put a dollar amount on this in June. That never happened. And I think it needs to happen. I had hoped it would happen last year. And I think something can be worked out. People just need to sit down and talk about it. But we aren't giving away our facilities to other people, and it's essentially subsidizing a private business or a private school by the city, by the taxpayers of Bel Aire. And it has been going on for a long time, but that doesn't mean it should go on forever. I think we need to take a look at it, be businesslike, and sit down and agree on something that works for everybody. And in my opinion, the burn pile was kind of a silly thing to count as an asset to the city just because it made it more convenient for one employee to do his job. It wasn't in his job description to use that like that, and so I'm glad that's been taken out of there. But I also think we need to look judiciously at that parking lot situation. And so therefore, I won't be able to vote for this myself just because I think that we're a year behind already on this. But the other members can do what they feel is right.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I think it's important to stress what Councilwoman Martine said about the improvements to the parking lot and to the shed and so on. And I think that should be taken care of, and I think I want to stress that should be taken care of as soon as possible in a reasonable manner.
Okay.
End of my comments.
Running out of space to write all these. All in here. So we do have a first
Turn
and
the paper
second.
over.
Yeah. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, I will call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Abstained?
Aye.
Okay, and it passes 3 to 1 to 1. we, just for the record, have, again, Councilmember Becker wants us to look at this again, I think sooner rather than later. Mrs. Martine wants us to look about some of the issues, some compliance issues, and which Councilmember McDonald kind of said, just give that up ASAP. Yeah. So, okay, perfect. All righty. Item F and G, these are our the additions that came. Wickham Glass actually operates 2 companies out of their building. You can see them up there on the screen, and for those of you watching at home on your TV monitor, at 45th and Webb. One is called ITI, which is owned by DGM, and the other is Wickham Glass, which is why you see both names on the sign when you go there. Way back 10 years ago, we issued a 10-year tax abatement, and that expires March 1. In an IRB, the city actually owns the land and leases it back to the company. Again, Sarah Steele is here from Gilmore and Bell to explain the resolutions and answer any questions. But as you come up, so the way I look at it, if we're that tax abatement expires, they start paying taxes. Now it's been 10 years already. I can't believe it.
That.
That's incredible.
That's correct. Thank you, Mayor Austin. The IRBs were issued back in 2006, and there are actually 2 separate issues. DGM owns the building and the land, and Wickham owns the personal property, all of the equipment that's in the facility. So they did 2 separate industrial revenue bonds. The amortization of those bonds was done for financing purposes over a 20-year period with a bullet maturity at the end of 10 years. And that is coming due on March 1. So in order to unencumber this property and their equipment, we need the City Council to approve these 2 resolutions. The one with DGM will authorize the mayor and clerk to sign a special warranty deed transferring the property back, a bill of sale for any personal property, and a release of lease. And then the resolution for the Wickham Industries will authorize a release of lease as well as a bill of sale. And that will completely undo the industrial revenue bonds on the property and allow the company to move forward, if they so choose, with their financing to pay off the remainder of the balance of the bonds. Be happy to answer any questions if you have those.
I like what you said.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you. It's hard to believe that was the first one we sold when I got on the council. I can't believe it's been 10 years.
We should have a party.
We should.
Yeah, I was still on Councilmember Becker and I were still on the Community Development Advisory Committee when that.
That was our first IRB
Wow.
that I did. That's awesome.
Okay. So, appreciate you being here, but we do have a couple of action items that I would ask council to take action on.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution of the governing body of the City of Bel Aire, Kansas, authorizing the sale and conveyance of certain property to DGM Properties LLC, and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
Everybody. Okay, any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And I would entertain a motion for item G.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, Mrs. O'Donnell?
I'd like to make a motion to approve a resolution of the governing body of the City of Bel Aire, Kansas, authorizing the sale and conveyance of certain property to Wickham Industries, Inc., and authorize the mayor to sign.
Second.
I was going to say, come on. After the last one. Any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Discussion of future issues. I don't have any at this time. I think we talked about some just a few minutes ago. With that, I have no need for an executive session. Any other council members? Anything else?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
First and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Are adjourned.
Minutes. One source is guaranteed to respond within 1 hour. For a